Hello, my name is John Taylor and I'm one of the accounting teachers here at the Institute of Education. I just received a copy of the 2025 Leaving Cert Higher Level Accounting paper and I'd like to share some of my views on it with you. So in section 1, students had the usual choice between question 1 on the preparation of final accounts or the option to do two 60-mark questions. As guaranteed again this year, students who chose to do question 1 were given two options and they included the sole trader and company final accounts. Both question 1s were fairly straightforward, reflected similar questions asked in the past. The trial balance in both contained nothing unusual, but students will have needed to read these carefully to spot things like rent received was only for 8 months of the year in question 1A. Part of the mortgage was only for 7 months of the year in 1A also. The mortgage interest was only for included an element of the second mortgage, as did the debenture interest, included an element of the second debenture loan, both in A and B. But the adjustments were standard. There were 9 in both questions. These would have been fairly familiar to students, but again, careful reading was needed. A couple of things that stood out. The patents written off again in both questions had commenced in years prior to 2024. Goods in transit, both sales and purchases in the two questions included VAT, which is always a little bit tricky. Bad debts recovered and recoverable, the payment to the creditor with the discount, and of course the incorrect VAT entry as part of the suspense adjustment would have been tricky enough. The 3 optional 60-mark questions, however, were fairly anticipated: revaluation, service, firm accounts and control accounts. So students would have been happy with these. Again, they didn't contain any major surprises, were not overly long, and the theory element again is fairly straightforward. Section 2, which again most students would have probably gone for the question 5, as guaranteed again it was interpretation of accounts, but also we were included there tabular statements and incomplete records, and again I think most students would be pleased with those 2 questions being included. The questions themselves were very nice, did not contain anything that we did not have seen in practice before in previous questions. Question 5 itself concerned, the ratios were very straightforward, and part B concerned the ordinary shareholders. Part C was a lovely question on gearing, which I think most students would have found very manageable and enjoyable. Question 6 on incomplete records was anticipated, a very fair question. The purchase of land was included for a change, and consequently students would have just needed to be careful when calculating the depreciation relating to the premises. Again, the theory element was straightforward. It related to the explanation of net worth and the limitations of preparing accounts from incomplete records. Question 7, another very nice question on tabular statements, contained nothing that you would not have seen before in previous tabular statement questions. Some ones did contain 2 transactions, and these were clearly separated in the layout of the question, and this would have aided students. The May payment, as always, included a payment relating to 2023 and 24, as well as the more traditional 24-25 payment. So again, hopefully students noticed this and dealt with it appropriately. And finally, section 3 was on the management of cost accounting. Students again required to attempt 1 question. Question A was on marginal costing. Very nice question, very doable within the time, and reflected similar questions asked in the past. Now, I think many students would be delighted to see this question appear in such a traditional form. And again, the theory element was very nice, containing sensitivity analysis and step costs. Question 9, for those who chose the budgeting question, was on production budgeting. I think that would have pleased students. Very straightforward, on the same lines as previous years. Theory element again, very doable, explaining principal budget factor and uncontrollable costs. So I think overall a very manageable, very fair paper, would have pleased students and suited students and rewarded students who had practiced their accounting and their past examination papers continuously over the last 2 years. So I hope you did well and enjoy your summer now.